Siddhartha Gautama sat on the dry banks of the Nerañjarā River, his body broken and close to death. For 6 years, he had starved himself to find liberation. But this physical search was actually a mask, a provisional display designed to hide a far deeper, eternal law. The Lotus Sutra rejects his historical struggle, stating, "It is many hundreds of thousands of myriads of millions of nunuatas of kalpas since I actually attained Buddhahood." Siddhartha ate only 1 grain of rice a day, making his bed on sharp spikes. His limbs became thin like bamboo. Yet this extreme self-mortification failed to produce sublime peace. He realized that torturing the body was unbeneficial. He accepted porridge to regain his strength, then walked to the root of the Bodhi tree. For 7 days, he sat in one session, investigating the chain of dependent co-arising. Siddhartha tuned his mind like a lute string, neither too tight nor too loose. He discovered the middle way, avoiding the extremes of indulgence and starvation, and declared his first sermon to the 5 monks at the deer park in Sarnath. A seeker named Rohitasa once came to the Buddha with a question. He had traveled to the very edges of the cosmos, trying to find a place where there was no birth, decay, or death. He asked if it was possible to walk to the end of the world to escape suffering. The Buddha answered plainly that the end of the world cannot be reached by walking. Yet the Buddha revealed a profound secret. Yet it is just within this fathom-long body, with its perceptions and thoughts, that I declare that there is the cosmos, the origin of the cosmos, the cessation of the cosmos, and the path leading to the cessation of the cosmos. Suffering originates directly within your own mind and senses. The Buddha explained that your world is built entirely out of 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. He asked his monks, "Are these aggregates permanent or impermanent?" They are impermanent. And is that which is impermanent a source of suffering or of joy? It is suffering. When you realize that your physical body is like foam and your thoughts are like a mirage, you stop clinging to them. The perception of impermanence uproots all conceit of self, cutting away the ties of suffering at the root. The Buddha warned that getting lost in metaphysical speculation is like being struck by a poisoned arrow. Imagine a man shot by an arrow thickly smeared with poison. If he tells the doctor, "I will not have this arrow removed until I know the identity of my assailant, his caste, and the type of wood used to make the arrow," that man would die before he ever got his answers. The Buddha did not teach speculative dogmas about the eternity of the soul or the afterlife of a Tathagata. He explained that his Dhamma is a means, a raft used to cross the river of ignorance and craving. You build a raft to cross from the near shore of suffering to the far shore of peace. But once you have crossed the water, you do not carry the wooden raft on your head forever. You leave it behind. Many modern practitioners get stuck on the raft. They practice passive mindfulness or study historical texts, treating the temporary tools as the ultimate goal. The Buddha's early teachings were never meant to be the final truth. They were provisional, scaffolding built to construct a temple. Once the temple is complete, the scaffolding must be cast aside. If the Buddha's early teachings were only scaffolding, what is the Grand Pagoda? The answer is revealed in chapter 16 of the Lotus Sutra. For 40 years, the Buddha presented himself as a mortal man who achieved awakening for the first time under the Bodhi tree and passed into extinction at Kushinagara. But in his final teachings, he reveals that his historical birth, struggles, and death were all a dramatic deception. He declares that he actually attained Buddhahood an incalculable number of kalpas ago. Why would he hide this truth? The Buddha explains this through the parable of the excellent physician. A skilled doctor returns home to find that his children have consumed poison, making them lose their minds. He prepares a medicine of color, fragrance, and taste, but the children are so delusional that they refuse to take it. To save them, the father leaves for a distant land and sends a messenger back to declare that he has died. Shocked by the news of their father's death, the children are brought back to their senses, take the medicine, and are immediately cured. The doctor then returns home to show he is still alive. The Buddha's historical life and death are this compassionate deception. If we believed the Buddha was always physically present, we would become lazy and arrogant, neglecting the practice. By withdrawing his physical presence, the Buddha awakens a sense of urgency, forcing us to seek the truth for ourselves. Because the Buddha's enlightenment is eternal, the ultimate truth of the universe is ever present. You do not need to travel back in time to ancient India, nor do you need to spend lifetimes in isolated meditation. The eternal law is already immanent within you. Many practitioners feel a deep sense of separation between their ordinary lives and the sacred. They believe that enlightenment is a distant, abstract state that can only be reached after years of quiet isolation. But the Lotus Sutra dismantles this illusion of distance. Since the Buddha nature is all-pervading, the sacred realm is a reality you awaken to from within, rather than a physical destination. Nichiren Daishonin taught that the entirety of the eternal Buddha's wisdom, his causal practices, and his resulting virtues are perfectly encapsulated within the 5 characters of the title of the Lotus Sutra, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. In his writing, the Kanjin Honzon Sho, Nichiren explained this mechanism. Shakyamuni's causal practices and their resulting virtues are all contained within the 5 characters Myoho Renge Kyo. When we embrace these 5 characters, he will naturally transfer to us the merit of his causes and effects. This is a radical statement. It means that the entire database of the Buddha's enlightenment is stored within this simple sound. Chanting the Daimoku is the act of opening that database in your own life. In traditional Buddhist paths, a seeker had to engage in lifetimes of difficult, painful ascetic practices to slowly purify their mind. This gradual approach created a spiritual ladder, separating the teacher from the student. But the eternal Buddha of the Lotus Sutra bypasses this ladder entirely. Because the Buddha nature exists within all living beings, you do not need to climb a spiritual mountain step by step. You receive the results of the Buddha's awakening instantly. Chanting is a direct transfer of merit, allowing ordinary people to access the highest life state, bypassing the severe struggles of the historical Siddhartha. Nichiren compared this immediate access to the moon rising in the east. The moment the moon rises, its reflection floats upon the water. The light of the moon does not travel slowly to reach the lake. The reflection appears at the exact same moment the moon ascends. There is no time lag, no separation between the source of light and the object reflecting it. The same principle applies to your life. The moment you sit before the scroll and open your mouth to chant, the reflection of the eternal Buddha's awakening appears in your mind. The cause and the effect are unified. This is the core meaning of the lotus flower, or Renge. In most plants, the flower blooms first, and only later does the fruit appear. But the lotus is unique. It produces seeds and flowers at the same time. In your life, this represents the simultaneity of cause and effect. Chanting Namu Myoho Renge Kyo is the cause, and the manifestation of your inherent Buddhahood is the effect. Chanting the sound immediately manifests Buddhahood, bypassing any need for future attainment. You are a Buddha in the very moment you voice the sound. This realization directly addresses the struggles many practitioners face in daily life. You might think you need a perfect, quiet altar space or a physical gohonzon to practice correctly. You might worry that chanting on your phone or in your head is useless. But the eternal Buddha nature is not limited by physical objects. The universe exists within your body. If you must chant silently at work, or if you do not have a quiet room, the power of the law remains absolute. Chanting collapses the boundary between the messy reality of your daily life and the sacred, pure land. Nichiren depicted this reality in the Gohonzon, placing Namu Myoho Renge Kyo in the center, flanked by the eternal Shakyamuni and Taho Buddhas. This design is a visual mirror of your own life. When you sit before the scroll and voice the Daimoku, you are entering the ceremony in the air, the sacred assembly of the Lotus Sutra. Chanting is a vow of absolute self-reliance. It is an active alignment of your life with the eternal rhythm of the universe. When life crises hit, whether it is a job loss, an illness, or family conflict, it is easy to feel defeated. But from the perspective of the eternal law, these obstacles are the friction required to polish your character. By returning to the Daimoku, you transform your immediate environment into a peaceful Buddha land. Chanting Namu Myoho Renge Kyo is the practical tool that allows you to manifest your eternal potential here and now, converting every difficulty into absolute victory. Many people approach the Buddhist practice with a list of wishes. They beg for their environment to change or plead for external results. But a wish depends on external factors, leaving you passive. The Lotus Sutra shifts the practitioner from a wish to a vow. A vow is an active cause made from within your own life. When you chant with the resolve of a vow, you are declaring that you will transform your environment through your own inner change. This active alignment is the true mechanism of actual proof. By manifesting the eternal Buddha within, you change the very shadow that the world casts upon your life.